and you say that that will be set aside for now. But still, you also mentioned in your speech extraordinary measures that need to be taken to tackle what is happening now. Now, one of the issues, I think you are a former finance minister, you're familiar with this. The government cannot borrow to finance operating expenditure. It can only borrow to finance development expenditure. So, given as you also mentioned, the restraints on our revenue due to reducing commodity prices, expected lower tax income, I'm wondering if it was proposed that we have to do some changes to the law, whether short-term or the long-term, to allow the government to borrow for operating expenditure so that it can put out more direct cash stimulus, right? I think there have been a lot of complaints about not enough wage subsidy, not enough direct stimulus to the economy. Right now, what we have is a lot of credit schemes, a lot of loans. So if you want to spend more on OPEX than your revenue, you need to change certain laws. And I'm wondering whether on behalf of Pakatan Harapan, we can say that if the government puts forward a bill to change these laws, that Pakatan Harapan will support it.
Yeah. Now, specifically on the issue of the government proposal, if it comes to change the law to allow for operating expenditure, development expenditure, the cost, at least to allow for a space to help appease the problems of the poor, we are of course open. But prior to that, the government must take effective measures to ensure that there is no waste. You can't be appointing, now more than 70 cabinet ministers and deputy ministers, then JLCs with all the perks. They have to stop this nonsense and excesses. We are now living at almost an economic emergency situation. You want to move a motion which is basically to deal with an emergency situation, allowing for the funds to be disbursed not according to normal financial rules. I'm open to that. I'm supportive of that. But stop all these excesses and exorbitant spending, excesses, and which is still continuing in this country. So I think, to be fair, the government must first take these measures, and if they want, they do this, come and discuss with us. I'm open. I mean, be very frank with you. The national interests, the interests of the poor override or supersede all other political considerations. That assurance is clear, unequivocal.
Good morning, Dr. Sri.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Joseph here from Reuters.
Yes, Reuters. Yes,
Reuters.
Good to see you.
Yes, yes, sir. Good to see you too, Dr. Sri. Hope you've been keeping well.
Gardening, a lot of gardening.
A lot of gardening.
That's a good thing, Dr. Sri. Right. So,
Yes.
one question from me.
Yes.
Considering that this is a time of crisis, and I know before the MCO was put in place and all of that, and with the political crisis that came before this, PH did say that you would be pushing for a confidence vote in Parliament. Would that plan now be maybe deferred while the government handles this issue?
Right. I made a specific call to convene a special session of Parliament to debate on the measures for COVID-19, and I've given the assurance that the issue of vote of no-confidence will not arise. Now, for a normal sitting of Parliament, there is of course for MPs to decide. I made it very quite clear. I mean, the government should not use COVID-19 to say that they will be secure forever.
Government does what you suggested, that they stop all the leakages and the wastages. So, say it comes to Parliament and asks for support to maybe lift the debt, the self-imposed debt ceiling of 55%. So, PH would support that?
Yes, but of course we would know. Should not be to the extent that the Greek experience then we'll have probably something unsurmountable when we are in the position to stabilize. But as a principle, we will support the government in any measure, including changing the necessary financial rules and regulations to allow for adequate disbursement for the poorer segment of the community.